But when I looked at it just recently, went back and looked at it, I was just amazed at how not only has it stood the test of time, I think it's better. I think it's better now in 2003 than it was 20 years ago. It's more meaningful, it's more relevant. What's being discussed there, the real issues behind the film. You know, what does it mean to be a human being in America, in the city? What does it mean to be alive? It's more relevant today than it ever was. You know, it's in this post 9/11 environment that we live in. My New York was a wild place. My New York was crazy. My New York, I lived in Hell's Kitchen, okay, on 45th Street between 9th and 10th Avenues. And in those days, it wasn't this wonderful gentrified little place with lovely shops and boutiques. It was the concrete jungle. New York in 1983, let me tell you the kind of people you'd meet when you walk down the street. There'd be the filthy, blonde, 16-year-old hooker who, when you walked by her, she'd spit in your face, okay? There'd be the crack dealer who was her pimp, yeah, hitting her upside the head for not spitting you in the face, you know, harder. There's a city under siege, you know, crack dealers and hookers. But there was something also vibrant too. There was the theater scene. You know, I was trying to make it as an actor, and my day would be, you know, a constant round of auditions. And there's all kinds of exciting things happening in the theater in New York. And I was in some really bizarre plays, really bizarre plays. You know, things that, you know, if I describe them to you now, you'd say, what are you talking about? I mean, you know, it's just, you know, very non-narrative, abstract types of plays. It was a very vital artistic scene going on here in the 80s. I think that was true in the art world, the poetry world. I was also doing a one-man show on Dylan Thomas down at on an off-Broadway theater, the 13th Street Theater, which was a really energetic and invigorating thing to do. I was doing a lot of poetry readings in the Lower East Side at the St. Mark's Poetry Project at St. Mark's Church. And there were poetry readings all over the city. And you could go to an open mic poetry reading every night. They had a calendar, the poetry calendar. Every night of the week, something was going on. It was marvelous. And I have wonderful, wonderful memories of those days. You know, I think my background as a poet and a performing poet really prepared me for my role in The Age of Insects as Dr. Richard Benedict, with these long monologues full of highly charged, difficult language, you know, lyrical language.
Oh, how near he was to the mystery that I am certain created the Great Pyramids, that made the ancient East pulsate with the collective instinctual power of millions. Ento-socialism.
And also, you know, full of, you know, like words that people just don't say in their everyday speech, you know. Entro-anthropological studies, you know. Dr. Benedict had a sort of an argot of his own, you know, that, you know, like, his swear words were like, you know, cockroach, wasp. Yeah. I'll send you back to Calcutta, Sarah. You know, these types of things. You know, these were wonderful to do. I loved doing those monologues. But I want to say it took me a long time to get them down and to do them. But the way they were shot, the way that it was filmed, enabled me to do these things in a wonderful way. I mean, just the whole ambiance that was set up by Eric and the fine crew that was there at that time made me feel that I was part. I actually thought that was my studio. When I was in there, I felt that I was in my laboratory, okay? Because the set was so brilliant and the direction was so brilliant.
The she-mantis. The sanctimonious airs are merely a mask. The eyes are merely a mask. Arms folded in prayer. Arms folded in prayer, cut cutthroat weapons.
I loved doing those monologues, these long, bizarre monologues about insects and science and psychology and Freud and ant farms and, you know, changing human behavior through strange South American hallucinogenics, you know, and, you know, hypnosis involving, you know, pupa and larvae and dung beetles, you know, and the behavior of insects as a model for the behavior of human beings. Is marvelous stuff. And I think that my history as a performing poet enabled me to deal with that rich, dense language that was embedded within the monologues and the dialogues.
Remember the over-the-counter violations? There are many rules principles of business.
One of my favorite parts of the film, whenever I relook at it, is the blue room sequence. And when I was doing that, and even when you look at it, there's almost an element of self-hypnosis going on. I mean, I put myself into this kind of hypnotic state. And you know, at the time I was actually into self-hypnosis. You know, going through this self-hypnotic thing to relax myself, to put myself into a different state. And I got into that rhythm of talking like this. Lance, go to the blue room. You like the blue room. It's lovely then.
Oh, I'm bored. There's nothing to do till your parents get home. I know. Let's play a little game, okay? Let's play the game of the lost beetle, okay? Only this time, you be the beetle, and I will tell you how to get back to the blue room. There, Lance, in the cold darkness outside the blue room. It's your parents. Look, they wave. They love you very much. How fortunate you are to have such parents, unlike so many other beetles.
I want to go there forever, don't you? You know, that sort of thing. And it was marvelously hypnotic. And just the rhythm of the way it was written was like that.
Absorb. Domestic reserves are shrinking. Prices and profits are suffering. Run, beetle, run. Suffering from huge overcapacity. Quick, Xerox this. Ted Turner. Increase efficiency by consolidating underutilized facilities. We're all back, tiny beetle. Back to the blue room and all your precious commodities.
It's frightening, it's exhilarating.
Catalog 2876, small, medium, and large. Regular, $29.50. Retail, $26. Lance.
It's bizarre. It's beautifully shot. I mean, it's wonderful. And this was before computers. What Eric did with that film, the paint that's in the special effects, is like stunning. It's a work of art, and I actually like looking at myself too.